Peace and love, y'all. I hope y'all are having an amazing day. So, on today's episode, I want to talk about Executive Order 14067. Now, what this is the President of the United States pushing this executive order, and this is the end of money as we know it. Now, if you followed me in the previous videos, you understand, generally speaking, what money is, what fiat currency is, right? Because there is a difference. The money being gold, God's money, and then fiat currency are things that have fallen off of the gold standard and have now just gotten to a place where people are, corporations, governments are able to just print money in excess. Then you have quantitative easing, where governments are able to just print money, and not even necessarily print money, just create money out of thin air from the Federal Reserve and other large banks. And now after they do that, they're able to buy financial assets, bonds, such and so forth, and now create money that pump into the system, which is what helps the economy move when things are in a period of stagnation or recession. So that being said, money, or I should say money as we know today, fiat currency, is cash. Cash, you might have heard this before, cash is trash, okay? Cash is trash. And in my previous video, I talked about diversification. And diversification is something that's significant, and I'm not going to go back into that, but in that it is important to have cash. So not to say just because cash is trash you shouldn't have any, but cash is trash because inflation eats away at it every year. So it's important to get to this point. So what's coming is this global currency reset. Right now we're having a phenomenon which hasn't happened. I don't think it's ever happened in modern times, the past 500 years, where every country across the world, all the leading countries, are failing. The currencies are failing, the economies are failing, and that's an issue because obviously, what happens when all the money goes bad? Well, there's this scenario called the Triffin dilemma. Triffin's dilemma is when you have this dilemma, right? All these currencies that are no good, and they need to be replaced by one main currency. Now, it's not going to be the US dollar like it's been for the past 80 years. It's not going to be the Japanese yuan or the Japanese yen or the Chinese yuan or the Swiss franc or none of these other currencies, because they have the same issue. They're not backed by anything. They're really backed by the dollar, pegged to the dollar, and the dollar is failing terribly. So what's happening is they're going to switch to a digital currency. When I say digital currency, not to be interchangeable with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies and digital currencies kind of, rub shoulders. However, digital currencies are basically a cryptocurrency controlled by the government. So cryptocurrencies were created to be decentralized finance, DeFi. That's what crypto was supposed to be. So now we're in a situation where the government sees the technology and innovation, and governments don't do well with innovation. They adapt to innovation and adopt it, but they don't create it. Like, governments can't curate something like that. That's why we have the private sectors. So there's a few crypto projects out there that have allowed banks like JP Morgan, I know, is already on the blockchain, and there's other companies all across the world, countries and so on and so forth, that have integrated cryptocurrencies as a means of sending payments. Now, there's one specifically that I'll just go to mention. XRP is one that helps settle transactions cross border transactions. Okay, so, and that's a Ripple is a company that looks after all that. They offer that ODL or on-demand liquidity, so that companies are able to do this. Okay, so it's good and bad news. It's good news for investors that get in early, and I'm not to say it is going to be XRP. It could be XLM. It could be, all these different other currencies, HBAR. But we're looking at ISO 20022, so 20,022. That is the I don't even know what you would call it, the regulation that's saying that, hey, these type of crypto projects, or these type of coins, and it's all software. If you follow Kevin O'Leary, he basically calls all cryptos just software, which is true. So if you follow these software or crypto companies, they're basically giving a resource of quick settlements. Not all of them, but some of them, with the ability to attach messages onto it, like the current system we have now, which is called Swift, which isn't that Swift. That's why it's going to get replaced. So banks make money off of the friction between cross-border payments, even like from bank to bank. Excuse me. So it doesn't have to be necessarily always cross-border. Like if I wanted to send money to Japan, if I wanted to send money to Europe, the quickest way to do it is go to the bank, get the money, fly on a plane, and take it there myself. However, in the age of technology, that makes no sense. And Ripple's slogan is, not that I'm an advocate for Ripple, they are not a sponsor to this video, but their slogan is money should move like information, quickly. And that's so true. Like, how is it that in America, and with all the technology in the world today, anywhere, especially in America, first world country, how can you deposit a check one day and it's not available till a day or two after? Like, I write you a check. If the money's in my account, the bank should be able to see the money's in my account and just take it out. I don't understand why, it has to be such a long period. But anyway, not to go off on a tangent, it just kind of drives me nuts for the past few years. And now seeing this play out is very interesting. So back to this executive order. They can't have a digital currency going around because part of the downside of this is it's trackable. Every money you spend, every donation you give, every purchase you make, wherever you put money, move money around, it'll be traced. This is the downside to it. Security on privacy is gone. Security is also gone because there's another thing which I probably will talk about in another video where they're talking about there's different ways that they can basically stop your shut down your accounts, your money. Like they can basically freeze your assets. Like they did it to Kanye recently. So the issue is, if you do something wrong, if you donate, Biden's in office, if I support Trump, if I support the opposing party, and he gets reelected the following year, or the next term or whatever, then they see that, hey, this guy did that. They can literally freeze my assets. Another thing that's coming out that I probably will end up talking about more so is this whole carbon credit issue. Climate change is a hoax, and they're using climate change to fund another campaign which allows them to defer the fault or responsibility from companies and corporations and their carbon responsibilities, their carbon footprint, and they're pushing it and delegating it to the consumers, people like me and you. So if we take too many trips, if we buy too many goods or services that there's a conflict of interest where it takes a certain amount of carbon to produce or create, then they're basically going to be able to cut our accounts and freeze our assets unless we buy carbon credits, which are just nothing. It's basically, carbon credits are essentially when, and again, I'm going to talk about this more in another video. So let's just say that. So basically carbon credits to offset the carbon, in short. So that's the kind of issue we have. So the problem with that theory is what happens to cash. If everything switches to digital, you can't have both at the same time. Otherwise, the government realizes that, hey, if we freeze his assets, but he withdraws, a couple grand a month, so he has reserves, or she. If you're able to see this coming and say, hey, let me keep some cash so they can't freeze my assets, then it kind of defeats the purpose. It's not really hurting them. They're basically placing sanctions. They're basically giving themselves the ability to place sanctions on the citizens, which is crazy. And the same thing with taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, they can freeze your accounts. Matter of fact, instead of giving you that, because some of us that don't work for corporations and stuff, we have to pay taxes manually. Doctors, private sector people. So the issue with that is, what if I don't feel like paying taxes? Or what if at the end of the year I don't have the money to pay taxes? So what's going to happen is, right off the bat, as soon as you make money, they're going to be able to take it out. So this is the issue that we have going on with this new executive order. It's actually not that new. It was pushed earlier this year. I forget the date. Off the top of my head, you could definitely check it out. Also, look up the ISO 20022 tokens. Those are the ones that are going to be looking to replace SWIFT. You see ones like I said, the three that I remember off the top are HBAR, which is Hedera Hashgraph, Stellar, XLM, and Ripple XRP. That being said, hopefully you found some something valuable here and you're able to share this with someone, if you did. And definitely give us a like, subscribe. Definitely give us a subscribe for sure. And share. Definitely share the content. We want this to reach as many people that it would benefit as possible. So that being said, full joy the rest of the day. More love, more life. Stay blessed, stay safe, and stay lifted.